Welcome to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I'm Jeja Flizanes, your host. Thank you for downloading today's show, and Happy New Year once again. I think I'm going to say that every week until the first month of the year is over. What do you think? I think it's fun to celebrate the new year, and why just say it for 1 or 2 days? Let's say it all month. So Happy New Year, Happy New Year. For those of you listening in the future, it's 2018. It's January 8th, 2018. And what's really fun about some of the work that I've been doing recently is that I've now partnered with a new company called Health IQ. Health IQ is a life insurance company that specializes in insurance for healthy people. People that do yoga, people that are triathletes, people that are vegans, and you get a huge amount of savings with Health IQ, which I think is really cool. And the fact that there's now a company that's doing it based on your lifestyle, I think is really awesome. And I just want to invite you to check it out, especially if you're somebody who's reviewing your finances for the year, seeing how you can save some money, where you can put it, how you can invest it, how you can get more on your money and your return. So go to healthiq.com/SPE, obviously for spirit, purpose, and energy, right? healthiq.com/SPE. So check them out. Come back and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear the feedback that you have, but Health IQ is going to be a great company, and I definitely want to support their mission because, in my opinion, prevention is where it's at. And when you get rewarded for doing healthy things, for eating cleaner, for taking care of your body, for being healthy, for exercising, those are the kind of companies that I want to work with for everything. So go check out healthiq.com/SPE. Now, today is the 9th of January, and we have a few days left before the live event here in Los Angeles called ReleasingWhatWeighsYouDown.com. Well, obviously the event is not called .com, that's just the URL. So for those of you coming to the party a little bit late, there's still a few days left. And I will tell you, I keep getting ticket sales, and someone is coming from the East Coast who just signed up yesterday. So don't think because distance is an issue. If you want to come, you'll find a way to get here, whether it be you use miles or you stay with someone that you know, or you cash in something that you were saving for a rainy day, or you use this as a gift to yourself. This event is going to be epic, and I cannot wait to hang out with those of you that have already signed up. Thank you. I look forward to that. And those of you that have bought the virtual ticket. So I just need to make sure I clarify that one more time so that you understand what's going on and you don't come back later and get mad. The virtual ticket is not a live stream. I do not expect anyone, myself included, to stay at a computer all weekend long watching people do nothing in between breaks. So what's going on is I'm actually videotaping and recording the event, just the presentations, some of the exercises, but the rest of it's going to be private because they're people's experiences. And then I'm going to share all of those things with you on the virtual ticket, which you'll get about 7 to 10 days later after the event is over. All of the videos will be up, and those of you that have already purchased, you know, you're sort of have an account now on the website, and so you'll go into the account where the program lives and you'll get to use it. Those of you that are coming live, you will also get access to the virtual ticket because that's included for you as well. So please check it out. I invite you to really consider making this investment in yourself this year. Today's show is a recording I did with Elizabeth, and I won't tell you the backstory, except it was just, let's just say it was challenging getting there, where this studio is in Hollywood and the time of day it was, and all of the different things that kept happening that were like, would make it really, it just was really challenging. And I kept thinking, God, I hope this is a good show because this was a lot of effort, and I hope she's got a good following and people that listen to the show. So I'm sharing it with you because the sound quality is great. She asks good questions, and I think it's a nice overview about what I would tell you anyway about how to make this year different or any year different in terms of the planning, the mental planning, and what to expect in different areas of your life. So, and of course, one of those things is coming to the live event or buying the virtual ticket. And as of Thursday night, we're going to take access down to buying the virtual ticket, and it's going to go up after that. So you can't buy it Friday morning. You have to buy them by Thursday if you want the virtual ticket. It's going to be created into a product with a different name and will be at least $247 versus $197. So it's about a $50 savings. If you think you might be interested, I definitely would buy it now versus later, but it's all about timing, isn't it? Divine timing. So I hope you enjoyed today's show.
Excuse me, this is called the show. If you didn't know, this is called the show.
Ladies.
Happy Thursday. How's everybody doing? You are listening to the show on Dash Radio Discover, and I am excited. You know, I normally talk about myself when I first open the show, but today I'm too excited. I think I just want to dive in, and I think everyone is going to appreciate and be happy that last week, if you recall, we were talking about working out, resolutions, and goals that you set for the year. So I decided, why not have somebody, an expert, come in and talk about all the stuff that everyone thinks of like doing for the beginning of the year, the goals that you set, for your body, your mind, your soul, and all that good stuff. I'm excited because I've got JJ Flizanes in studio. Did I say that right?
You did. You did.
I kept thinking, I was looking at your name and I was like, okay, I have to say it right. I cannot mess it up. And you are a lifestyle coach, and you also have podcasts
I do.
on fitness.
I have a fitness background. I'm a personal trainer and a whole
You're-
slew of PR in that area, from magazines to television to newspapers. And I took all that and over the last 20 years have developed it into a lifestyle brand, which
Yes.
includes the integration of mind, body, and soul.
I love that. I was going on this website. You have an event coming up January 12th through the 14th in Los Angeles. If you guys are in the area, in LA, go to JJ Flizanes, and it's JJFLIZANES.com, and it talks about the event that you have.
So on the website, actually, there'll be a pop-up. However, another way to get there very easily is to go to releasingwhatweighyoudown.com. You can go to jjflizanes.com, that's fine, but you're not going to find the event in anything except the pop-up right now. Because it's sort of that secret, like we only have a limited room and we're half full and we're getting ready to pump it up and get everybody who's on the fence, which there are a lot, who want to come to the event. Now, if you don't live in Los Angeles, I've got people flying in from Tennessee, from North Carolina, from Oregon. So it doesn't mean, because let me tell you, this is going to be one heck of an event. It'll be something unlike anything you've ever done, I promise, or your money back. It's not something I've never done. It's the first time doing it, and the people that I have coming, because I'm really interested in true transformation. I've been a personal trainer for 20 years. I see what works. I understand the levels and layers and the depth at which we have to integrate, again, that mind-body-soul connection. It's not just about working out and logging it or tracking your food or counting calories, because those of you that have done it, you understand it doesn't last. You do it for a little while, you use your willpower, and then it works and you lose weight. And you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden something happens, you revert back to your old ways, and then you gain it back. And that's not what you want. You want to be able to just move into like a new way of being. But it does take a little bit different approach than what most of us are used to. And I heard your show last week talking about, going to the gym and doing the resolutions. And there's a point in which we have to look at and say, am I being insane? Isn't the definition of insanity repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results?
Yeah.
If you're going to the gym every year to lose the same amount of weight that you gain every year, doing the same things every year, and it still doesn't last, we have to ask the question, what's missing, right?
Yes. Now, what about like for people, like I have a lot of listeners that listen and they're not into fitness at all. Like it's just not something that they've done their entire life, but they want to get there and they want to get healthy. They want to start losing weight. What would you suggest? What's the one thing that they should start doing that it's not going to be a goal that's so high that they're not going to be able to attain it?
So psychological terms, it's called low-hanging fruit. So rather than asking yourself, what should I do?
Yes.
Ask yourself, what will I do? And start replacing should with want. And you can even say, I want to exercise. You don't even have to say, I know I should exercise. Because first of all, I would say remove the word should from any of this conversation. Because the word should has a vibration and energy to it that's actually very controlling and gives you the idea that that you need to rebel against it, because it wants to say you should as if you have no choice. And no one ever feels good about doing something where they feel they don't have choice. So we have to remove should from the vocabulary because it's kind of abusive to yourself. It's actually shaming yourself. And when you shame yourself, that's using that negative stimulus to try to get you to do something, and it's not going to last long term. So we want to replace it with want. And what will I do? I had a client once who was living on her couch. She was very morbidly obese, old, and she's like a shut-in. She lived at home. She didn't go very far. And when I first got there, I wasn't the first trainer who had showed up. And she begged me and said, please, please do not make me eat breakfast. And I said, okay, I won't make you do anything. I said, what will, and I always came back with, well, what will you do? And she told me exactly what she would do. And it's that idea that when you work with a coach or a trainer that you're going to have no choice. You always have choice. And if you have to rebel against your coach or your trainer, you have the wrong coach or trainer. This is about making decisions based on what works for you, what's important to you, integrate it into your life, finding the blocks. So the event's called Releasing What Weighs You Down. This is not a fitness event. This is a mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual event to finding the blocks that stop you from taking care of your health. From stuff that stop you from trying new foods or trying new ways or making yourself a priority by paying for something and investing in yourself instead of giving it away and always doing it for others. Yeah. That's what this event is about. And so if somebody hasn't ever started exercising or taking care of themselves, but they want to, I would start with the question, what am I willing to do? And what is it that I want long term? Because if you don't have a plan, it's like getting in the car pre-GPS days. You have no map, you have no GPS, yet you want to get from point A to point B, but you don't know how. Well, how are you going to get there? You're just going to drive around for a while, ask questions, maybe stop a lot, maybe ask people, maybe you're good with a compass. I don't know. But imagine that, right? You have no map. How are you? It's going to be very frustrating. It's the same thing with if you've never gotten to the body and the life that you want, why do you think you know how to do that? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that in a true, like, you've never been there before. So this would be where you want to get some help in creating a plan to get to a place you've never been before. The plan's kind of important. It's you'd never send an architect to build a structure without plans. It doesn't happen. I mean, it could happen, and I'm sure it does happen somewhere in the wilderness, somewhere in the desert. But those structures don't last very long and they're temporary. But the point being that you can really save yourself a lot of time and frustration if you sort of take a step back and ask the right questions, and then design a plan that supports you.
Now, would you also suggest as far as like eating, like they completely have to change their eating? That's part of the plan?
So imagine a straight line that has two dots on it, one on each end. And let's say on the far, in your mind, on the far left end is where you are right now. And on the far right end, maybe where someone like me may live, who has a pretty restrictive, but I don't promote restriction or I promote replacement. Yeah. Because people think, oh, I have to not eat all this stuff on what's left. And I'm big on replacement. There's nothing I miss. Everything I want I can have because I have it in a different way. I just replace it with something that's similar or the same, but made with little different ingredients on some of the places. So when it comes to your diet, I would say, just like you asked about the exercise, start with where you are and start with what you're willing to do. I'm big on elimination diets. I take people through detox programs all the time. And one of the things I ask you to do for 2 weeks, 3 weeks is to do an elimination. And part of that elimination is removing certain foods from your diet that you crave a lot, that you overeat a lot, and that your body doesn't respond to, just to see what happens. Because you'd be amazed at some of the very common foods that once you pull them out and replace them with something similar but different, you stop having cravings. You stop overeating. You stop being hungry. Not that you're never hungry, right? But just small little things. So you have to find out, again, you have to know yourself well enough to say, what am I willing to do? Am I willing to replace something for a couple of weeks to see what it does in my body? And then it's amazing what happens to people when they replace certain foods and go, wow, this was, in fact, I have somebody who's on one of my programs and she's done programs before. And she said, the way that you talk about food made it really easy. She goes, I haven't struggled at all. It's been fine. But thank you.
Okay, so what about for me? Like, I'm huge on carbs. So the one thing I like to eat a lot is tortillas, like corn tortillas. So if that's the one thing that I would say, okay, so I eat a lot of corn tortillas, what would I replace the corn tortillas with?
So there is a new company I think it's called Coconut Harvest, or no, it's called The Real Coconut. Yeah. The Real Coconut. She has come out with coconut tortillas. So they're coconut flour and tapioca, and she's got chips. What? There's another brand called Siete, and it's a paleo tortilla chip. There's no corn, but they act just like corn. They crumble like corn. They even taste like tortilla chips, but there's no corn. Same thing with the tortillas, she's got coconut tortillas, and they're not necessarily very low in carb. They just have no corn in them, but they roll, they bend, they act just like almost a combination of a flour or a corn tortilla. I love them. I just tried them. You can also make paleo tortillas with like egg whites and coconut flour. You can do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that works. Trader Joe's has a rice tortilla. It does not bend. It tastes good, but it doesn't. When you first pull it out of the package, it's good and it bends. But then after you have it for like a day, it starts to crumble. But again, they taste delicious. You can make a quesadilla out of them very nicely. But, corn, I would say, before you give up on your favorite food, just do an elimination for 2 to 3 weeks and see how much of an impact it makes on you. Yeah. And then if you add it back in and nothing happens and nothing miraculous happened when you gave it up and you replaced it with something else, then that food's not an issue for you.
Right. Yeah, because for me, it's just like the corn tortillas. And I used to have a sweet tooth before, like many years ago. I don't have that anymore. And it's interesting how your body just, just changes as you get older. Before I used to crave a lot of sweets. Now I kind of more like salty stuff. So now it's not so much sweet, which is better for me, I think, because I would eat like 100 M&Ms a day. Like I literally would like line them up and I would like separate them by color. And I just had to have, desserts on top of that. Now I don't have that. It's just like the corn tortillas, but I don't overeat. I just do eat. I guess if I go by what you should be, or not should,
what serves your body best,
right? I would be over exceeding it, because I'll have in one serving, I'll have like 5 corn tortillas.
Are we talking little ones? Are we talking like big ones?
No, like the regular ones.
Okay,
like they're this
right, because they're like mini ones too, and the mini ones are cute.
Yeah, I had not those, or like the ones that are like this, I guess. So the regular kind. I usually have, like sometimes I'll have 5 in one serving, sometimes 3, but I like to eat them with like dinner and lunch. And I'm kind of like, I need to start I need to remove that and not have as many.
So again, it goes back to what your goal is.
Yeah.
So what would be your goal?
For me, I just I don't want to lose weight. All I want to do is just like, I just want to tighten my body. That's all I want to do. Like, I don't want to lose any weight. And of course, with that comes, if I have a little gut, then I need to lose that gut, but I don't have I got to weigh I don't want to weigh a certain type of pounds. It's just for me, just tightening up.
So then just do resistance training. Make sure you're getting in your lifting at least twice a week and do a program that actually really builds muscle, not a program that's about using light weights in every part of your body because you don't want to bulk up. If you actually do the science of resistance training and you build muscle, then you're probably fine. If weight loss isn't an issue, because first of all, losing weight doesn't mean you tighten up. Losing weight just means you lose fat, but doesn't mean your muscles are any stronger or more filled out. Like people, I think lean is what people are going for. And when there's no muscle tone underneath the skin and the fat, you're just skinny, flabby. So if you want to just tighten up, then you can keep your diet as it is and just add in resistance training to make sure that you're utilizing your muscles and you're building your muscles so that you keep your metabolism high. What happens when we age, and I heard you talking about that on the show as well, and when you're so quick to want to get rid of having your period, don't be so quick to get rid of it, because what happens is your metabolism is going to plummet if you're not doing resistance training. The only thing, so think of your metabolism like a gas tank, and you think of a Ford Escort versus a Hummer, right? Which one has a bigger gas tank?
The Hummer.
Right, because it's made of more metal, it's heavier, it's bigger, it needs more energy to move it. So your body needs energy because of muscle and your nervous system. When you lose hormones, you lose muscle tissue. That's not going to, and so what happens is your metabolism is going to drop, which is why most people gain weight when they go through menopause and andropause, because all of a sudden their metabolism takes a deep dive and then they do the wrong exercise. They go walking and do cardio for 5 days. That is the wrong exercise. It does not build muscle. We need to put muscle, and I'm not talking about bodybuilder muscle, so everybody get that out of your head. I'm not talking about being in a bikini and getting yourself really tan and looking like a man if you're a woman. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, looking lean and tight and firm, because you need muscle to move. Muscle moves bone. So to not get injured, to be able to sustain energy and vitality throughout all of your years, to not be bent over and look like you need a cane, to not have joint pain, you need to build muscle. We all do. And this isn't a should. This is a just know that there are consequences to not doing it. So right now is the time to start doing it, so that way you're sort of getting ready for and you're prepared for what happens when you do lose those hormones. Because at least if you have more muscle mass and you can stimulate some hormones naturally, you're not going to have such a big dive in your metabolism, and you're probably not going to gain as much weight or any weight. It's possible to keep losing weight, but most people don't, because all of a sudden they do nothing, and then all their hormones go away, and they go, well, why did I gain all this weight? I didn't change my diet. Right, you lost muscle. You lost the part of your body that needed the calories in the first place. So now all the calories that you ate before that had a place to go have no place to go but becoming fat stores.
You know, it's interesting that you talk about lifting weights. Today was my first day that I started doing weights. Like, I used to do weights before with my trainer, but we just have not trained because his schedule is just crazy, and we just can't. So today I decided, I think today's the day that I need to start incorporating weights into my workout routine, because I've been going to the gym and I've been doing cardio. And now I'm at the point where I feel like my body is strong enough to incorporate weights. Because before, when I have my moments where I'll work out and then I stop. I stop working out because, I don't know, something happens in life where I just cannot juggle, the workouts in. So I just completely stop. And when I go back to doing the workouts, which is doing my cardio, I notice that I'm not as strong. So I have to kind of just go in slowly and sort of build it. And once I build my cardio, which will take a couple of weeks, then I can incorporate weights. And that's what I did today. So today I did upper body. And when I was driving to the studio, I was like, why is my chest hurting a little? And then I remember, I was like, that's right, I did weights. So I know tomorrow it's going to hurt.
Well, and it should, hurt. Hopefully it's just a little biofeedback that says, I've done a good job breaking down this muscle, but we don't want you to hurt. So everyone, don't get scared. Don't get scared. You don't have to hurt. You can still build muscle and doesn't have to hurt. But yes, there should be some kind of
soreness.
I always ask everybody, how do you feel 2 days later? Because it's like the second day that's really the better soreness than the first day.
Yeah.
Sometimes first day soreness could mean you injured yourself a little bit or ripped some tissue. Doesn't mean you still could be building muscle. But second day soreness is a little bit deeper within the cell, within the muscle cell, and it's safer on your joints. So, yeah.
How would you write? So you were talking about lifting weights twice a week.
So again, there is a science to building muscle.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're going to be doing the same routine for 5 years. And it's not for the ladies, I'm going to use 3 or 5 pound weights for 6 months and just do more reps. That's not how it works. Yeah. So the science to building muscle. In fact, I just had a client who came to me. I think it was her 9th trainer, and she was with this guy, and she's in her 60s, early 60s, and she's very thin, but she wanted to get leaner. And she said, I'm not getting the results I want. I want to be building muscle. I asked her, well, what are you doing in your workouts? And she was doing a lot of circuits. I said, well, you're not on a muscle building program. So then when we started working together, I was just it just floors me. I've been doing this for 20 years. It floors me that I'm her 9th trainer, and everything I did with her was new. Trying to connect her to her body using her brain. She learned a lot. And in terms of the soreness, because she had no threshold, we had to build her up to that. And it wasn't because I want her to be limping or in pain, none of that.
Yeah.
But I want to know that you can connect your muscle to your brain to your muscle, and we know exactly what you're using. And then the next day or 2 days later, you feel something that lets you know that we ask the body to change. Because here's the thing about the workouts. If your workout's not challenging your body to a new level, there's no reason for your body to change.
Right.
There has to be some little threshold you have to cross over, whatever it is, whether it be cardiovascularly or with resistance training. You have to be slightly uncomfortable, not unsafe and not in bad form, but slightly uncomfortable in order for your body to go, ding, 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 I'm not good at this. I need to change.
Yeah.
Right? So, but most people just stay within their comfort zone, do the same routine for 5 years and go, yeah, I work out every day. Well, what are your results? I don't know. I don't have any. Like a lot of men that think they give themselves an A+ for discipline. I've been very easily to sell them into programs because I say, well, what kind of results are you getting? And they said,
yeah.
What do you mean results? I'm like, well, how's your body changed? Well, No. How long have you been doing this program? 5 years. I'm like, okay, so there's a word I want to introduce you to. It's called adaptation. Once your body starts to adapt to the new level, you have to change the level again.
Yeah, it's so true, because today when I was doing it was my first time from, being a while that I was doing weights. It's true what you said. You don't want to hurt yourself. You want to be out of your comfort zone, but not to the point where, you're going to injure yourself. So what I decided to do, because I didn't know what my body's capable of doing for the first time in a long time, I decided to just remove, I did the machines. So normally the machine, you're able to do I think it's 5, sometimes 10 pounds. So I did the very bare minimum, where you can't take that weight. It just comes with it. It's stuck. So I decided to try that first. And when I was doing it, I was like, this is too easy. And that's when I increased it to the point where it was a little uncomfortable, but I know I could still at least squeeze, 10, what is it called? 10 sets, right? 10, or reps. 10 reps,
Right.
Where it was it was hard, and you had to would stop and then take a moment to, just a few minutes to pause and then do it again. But it's true. You have to come out of your comfort zone and not do something where it's you can just you're doing nothing. I see people and it's wait, that doesn't look like they're building anything.
Right. And there's also, I have some clients in Arizona because I work with people on Skype too. So I have clients all over the place. I don't just do people locally. And in fact, don't have too many slots open for local people anymore. But so it's people that I can train virtually over Skype. And what that means is I do the same exact thing I would do, minus I'm not going to set it up for you, but I can see the same things. I'm going to coach you in the same way. Mm-hmm. And they have recently went to a gym, and they both reported back how awful everybody else was working out. I went, okay, I've done my job well. And even some of the trainers were telling them to do it certain ways, and they were saying, no, you were supposed to do it this way. And I said, okay, my job is done. I feel complete. You understand your body and how you're supposed to feel this and what you're supposed to do and what good form is. So you may go out into the world now, and I trust that you're not going to hurt yourself.
So, for those of you that do not work out, it's a very good idea to, I would say, incorporate a program such as JJ's program, where you can do it online, where she can walk you through and teach you exactly what it is that you need to do, where you're not, especially if you're a person that you don't have the motivation because you feel since you haven't done it, or sometimes what I hear from you, a lot of you always say that, maybe that you haven't done it and maybe it's pointless. But it's I always tell you, it's not pointless. You have to start somewhere, and it doesn't mean that you need to dive in and you have to go to the gym. So perhaps maybe you should just do an online with JJ, which would make it easier, because then you don't have to leave your home, right? Can they do it from their home?
Absolutely. I specialize in treating people in their home with very minimal equipment, because so you were talking about not diving back in really fast.
Yeah.
So machines are a great way for some people to stabilize. Machines make it easier because it's already set up. There are pluses and minuses to machines. But when I can teach you how to get all of the muscles in your body activated and even get to a place where you're doing resistance training without a machine to start, you may need a machine later once we adapt to that level. But most people, especially even young people, when I first started training here in California, I manifested some clients that were around my same age, and they were accustomed to going to the gym. And so when I showed up at their little beach house and I'm like, okay, we're going to work out at home, and they were architects, they said, okay, but we don't have any equipment. I said, you don't need any yet. And they said, okay, are you sure it's going to be enough? I said, just give me 1 or 2 sessions. If it's not enough, we will go to a gym. And we never went to the gym. So so one of the things that I love to do is help build programs for people. I've got an online program that you don't even need to work with me necessarily personally. You could just go through it and learn some of the things. I've got my podcast. You can go to my YouTube channel and learn these exercises without me helping you. What's good to do to work with somebody is to build a program that's right for you, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's like customizing something that is going to fit your body. This is going to fit if you have any joint pain. It is going to fit your space in your house. It's going to fit your mentality and your mindset and the way that you like to do things. Like if you're someone who loves music, how to incorporate that to motivate you. Or if you're somebody who hates structure, how to figure out what to do to still get the same results if you don't like structure. So that's the psychological piece that's kind of important. But you can go to jjflizanes.com, and I believe there's a link that says programs. And if you click through programs, there's a tab to work with me. It's a 2-session package. and it's literally like getting you started. And from there, you can utilize all the free tools, and you can use the free tools now just to look at how to do form. But I would say really consider, whether it be me or somebody else, investing in yourself, especially this year, whether it be through, again, one-on-one work or coming to my event or joining. Whether you join your local gym or not, that's a different story. But definitely do something different because you're worth it. And isn't doing it right the first time more effective than falling down 3 times and getting frustrated and wondering why it doesn't work? It's always amazing to me when people say, oh, I tried exercise, it doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, I've been a trainer for 20 years. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. If it's not working, it works. It's just other things that are going on. So actually, trust me, yes, this is all science, guys. And you don't have to learn it. That's why I'm here. You don't have to learn it all. Just find someone you trust who actually knows some stuff about science, who studied science, not just got their education from a book and never stepped foot in a gym.
You know, it's so true. It's like you always have to, you have to trust somebody. For me, my trainer that I was mentioning, Jen, we used to train, and before Jen, I would every now and then, I've never been a huge person on getting trainers. I would always try to do everything on my own or just go to classes at the gym. That would just work fine for me. But came a point in my life when, after I had kids, I could not lose the rest of the weight that I had gained. You know, for my son, I gained 50 pounds. My daughter, I gained 60. So for my daughter, I lost my son, I eventually lost everything. After a year, I would drop down to my pre-pregnancy weight. My daughter, I've gained 60 pounds and I was only able to lose 30. So I had 30 more to go. So I decided to hire my trainer. He was one of the instructors at the gym that I went to. He taught kickboxing. And he's the only trainer that I have to say that knows my body. Not just my body, but I think everyone and how to get you to lose that extra fat or, to get you to get muscle. So it's true what you say. It's you have to trust that person and know, and the person has to be knowledgeable on what to do, because there's a lot of trainers out there that don't know what they're doing.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. And I don't mean to put down trainers. I used to train trainers. I was at director of education for a gym in New York City when I was 21.
Wow.
And how I got there was because I actually took science classes, came back into the gym and saw how everyone didn't know what they were doing. Yeah. And the gym I was working for was opening so many locations that they just needed to hire nice people as trainers that they could train to be trainers, because they couldn't find enough qualified trainers at the rate they were opening the gyms. So they established this education program, and I helped to run it, and I staffed it, and I taught it. And so I knew what trainers knew back then, because I was working with hundreds of them all the time. And then what was funny was when I moved to California, I thought, oh, California, there's going to be more trainers. There are more trainers, and they're not as bright as the ones in New York. So shout out to Manhattan and New York City, because here you just have to have a good body and a good personality, and most everybody's an actor. And not that, and I was an actor too, but that doesn't mean, okay, so would you trust someone to do surgery on you because they had 3 surgeries? No, you would want someone who's actually become a doctor and learned the science of how to perform a surgery. So just because someone was an athlete, because someone was a dancer, because someone lost 50 pounds, doesn't mean they have the tools to help you do the same thing in the same way. It's a little too risky. So you definitely want to research, ask around, do some pre-sessions. Don't sign up for some huge package. Always do some kind of intro thing and get a feel.
Or what you can do, if you go to the gym, you can just look at every trainer and see how they train their clients. And you can also get an idea, if they're good or not good, because I've seen that a lot too at the gym I go to. There's a lot of trainers that train, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, you know what? That is so wrong. And they don't even look at their client's form. They're letting that person do the workout that they told them to do, and they're just standing there, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is horrible form. They could hurt themselves.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And then, of course, I look at their client's body and I was like, there's no improvements there. I just, and you're right. You don't want to spend money. You shouldn't have to dive in and spend so much money on a trainer, like that. There's other ways of doing it, going on your website, jjflizanes.com.
Yeah, but you go to YouTube and search it too, although there's a link on jjflizanes.com for YouTube, and I've got lots of videos, and I've got a couple playlists. One's called Movement Mondays, from the Fit to Love podcast show, which is one of my podcasts. It's also a video podcast. And then I've also got Smart Exercise. And they're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but they're just more shows right now up on Movement Mondays. But Smart Exercise is another. But if you go to YouTube or you go to iTunes and find Smart Exercise podcast, watch the first one. It's the intro about the show, which tells you a little bit more about the background of becoming a trainer and all the sciences that you need to learn. And you know, of course, you know, I'm not for everybody. So the whole point is that you want to invest in yourself. You want to invest in a way that's meaningful, that's going to get you to the next level, and you want to find whatever you're ready for. But the point is to get ready and then do something different outside of your comfort zone, like a little bit different, because again, you're not going to grow or change if you're staying safe with the things you think you know. Because the things you think you know are what you keep doing and you're still not happy, we have to deduce the things you don't know are not working. Right?
That's true.
Right? I mean, to me, it's kind of logical, but I'm kind of that crazy person. So,
But it's good though. Like you got to have somebody like that in your life, you know, to tell you, okay, you know what? It's not working. What you've been doing, I hate to tell you, it's not working and it hasn't worked and it's not going to work.
yeah. And what's really great and a little neurotic is that I could tell you why for all those things. I'll never tell anybody, look, this isn't working.
Yeah.
Period. I'll say, I don't think this is working and here's why. Da 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 da. It'll be whatever it is for the scientific reason. And but the choice always has to be. So if you're unwilling, you know, you were talking about looking at like the trainers' clients. And I've come to this point in my career because when you start out in this kind of service industry, you do get wrapped up in your client's success because you think it's a reflection of you. It's almost like parenting. But the reality of it is not, because you can't control what they eat. You can't control that they don't do what you say. Like we were discussing before we started recording, that there's a statistic that about 20% of the patients who have heart attacks, that doctors tell them you have to change your life or you will die. Only 20% actually do. So when it comes to being motivated, if you're not going to learn why and be attached to the positive reason of why you want to make change, then you're waiting around for the pain. And even when the pain comes, it still doesn't mean you're going to do it. And it still doesn't mean you're going to do it well. So you really want to get clear about what get clear about what motivates you, what feels good, what you want your life to be like, and then find the support in that. And again, take that step outside of your comfort zone. Invest in yourself in some way that's different. And again, search for learning. When you learn more, like I take care of my body because the more I learn, the more I respect it. Yeah. And I think that's really important, because if I just told you to do something without explaining why or making you love your body a little bit more or being in awe of it, you may not care. But if you can actually know that when I'm doing this exercise in this way, it means I'm wearing my knees down, I'm going to have knee pain in about 5 years, you probably won't do it that way.
Right.
But if I tell you to do the same exercise with this form, and I say, you know what, this is going to help preserve your cartilage, so you're going to build muscle and you're not going to wear down your joints, you're probably going to want to do it this way.
Right.
Right. So the education is not so that you do it to please your trainer or your friend or whoever. The education is so that you actually love and respect and care for your body. Because if you're not coming from that place, and this is all about shaming yourself and beating yourself up and not liking yourself, again, it's a spiral effect if it's not going to work, because we intuitively know that we're supposed to love ourselves. So anytime you shame yourself, you want to rebel against yourself. And that creates that pattern of emotional eating, of rebelling against the gym, of hating it, because you're like, no, why should I do that? Why should I have to do that? You don't have to do that. You don't. But it's really changing that pain point of coming from love versus and respect versus coming from fear, shame, and guilt.
You know what's amazing to me, what you were saying, that only 20% of people change their diet. That's crazy.
Well, diet and exercise.
And exercise.
It's the whole lifestyle. It's stress and stress management and reduction. Although I do lots of presentations and I've reformulated and I never say stress management, because let's think about that. Stress management to me means you're rearranging the articles on my desk. Right. You are managing, but they're not going away. I'm about stress reduction and elimination. And if that's you, just another plug for my event, because again, I don't know if I'm going to do it again. So just if in case it interests you at all and you're willing to come on out to California, or you can do it on the virtual ticket. We also offer a virtual ticket. But if you feel like you can't get out of your stress loop, you're going to get tools on why you're in the stress loop, on why you use stress as an addiction to avoid your feelings and how to problem solve your stress so it goes away. Because that's the point, right? You want to be able to not feel that tension in your body and in your head every day. You want to make it less. You want to feel, you want to feel breezy and easy and flowy and calm and peaceful and centered and grounded and, right? Isn't that what we want to feel?
Yeah.
Relaxed.
Especially, it's like living in the city, and not even just like living in the city. It's just like so much stuff, negative stuff, out in the world that, even if you don't, you can't help but embrace what is happening in the world, that you start to wonder and, you get nervous about certain things, like for me, for example, like a lot of the stuff that is, happening like with politics, and because, my mom's a Jehovah's Witness. So of course, like I read the Bible and I learned a lot of stuff about, things that are happening and, natural disasters and stuff like that. So when I see all of a sudden like crazy things happening, I just think to myself, I was like, wait, is this like the end of the world? And then like everything that's happening. So of course, like I kind of get stressed a little bit over it, and the other day, I don't know if it's like so much stuff that, you see in the news. I had a dream. Like I had a dream and I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what is this dream about? I had a dream that it was like, I guess it was like the end of the world, where you had to go to like higher ground, because to like try to sort of save yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember everyone getting on top of like surfboards to try to like get to like higher ground. And I remember also that there was like a couple, that I knew. I don't even know who they were, but like in my dream, like I knew them, and they stayed like lower ground. And I remember in my dream thinking to myself, like looking back and thinking, but wait, what happened to so-and-so? Like, and someone said to me, oh no, because, I guess they were like in peace with God and they knew they were going to make it to like the next world. And so their death was going to be painless and it was just going to be quick or something. So they just kind of stayed there in like this home that they were in, where it was just like their last warmth. And, I don't know, it was just.
That was a very vivid dream.
Yeah. It was just so weird. And, so of course I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm like, where's this dream coming from?
Sounds like the dream is giving you a choice of two different paths. One is acceptance and peace, making peace with things. And the other is to flee and resist potentially. I mean, that would be one interpretation.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not saying if, a flood came, we didn't want to die,
right.
you try to escape. But if it was sort of that everyone was going to die, how you make peace with that and become one with that. I mean, what message did you get from that when you got up? What did you think it meant?
I thought it meant like, I need to take my ass back to church.
All righty then. That was God calling through your dream. There you go.
I mean, that's how I took it. I was like, perhaps maybe I need to, go back to like start having a routine of like religion with my kids, I was like, I don't know. That's how I took it. I was like, could that be like that sign where if anything happens, with the world, then at least I'm in peace, that I've did my thing as a mother, trying to, guide my children to have some sort of knowledge of God. Like they used to, but now more than ever, you know what I mean? So that was how I interpret it. Like at least I did it like as a mother, because they can't, they can't just go and like, oh, I'm going to go to church. Like, you have to like take them. So I thought, I think that's what that is.
Maybe there's a little bit of guilt that you feel about not going.
Yes.
And maybe that dream was to show you the guilt's real.
Yeah.
And you haven't made peace with that. So really the call to action is just take them to church.
No, I think it is. I think it is because I do keep telling my kids, I'm like, we got to start going again. And we start going again, but I haven't made that effort to say, you know what? Next week, we're going to do it on this day. So that's probably what it is.
Sounds like it. Yeah, our dreams are real powerful. I've done a couple shows on dreams.
Really?
I'm not the dream expert. I have Kelly Sullivan Walden on. Shout out to Kelly.
Kelly Sullivan?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
So she's on my show several times.
Yeah.
And we talked about dream interpretation. And she's a hypnotherapist as well. And what she teaches people and what I believe is it also, your subconscious is your dreams are your subconscious playing things out and letting you know what you're thinking about. And sometimes it's a use to play out something that you fear. Sometimes it's just a message. And sometimes I think we actually even connect to other planes. I think we connect to people who've passed on. I think we connect to ideas and thoughts we're unwilling to think about in our conscious state. So I think we just really could use our dreams, like you are, to really motivate you to say, this is really important to me and I have to stop ignoring it.
Speaking of like past life, it's so true, because that happened to me one time. Like there's this one gentleman that, I used to date a long time ago. Then we just kind of like became friends. But it's one of those things where, we stopped dating because he wanted more and I could not give him more than, whatever we had. So we just sort of moved on, but we still remained in touch, meaning, he'd always reach out. Like if it was like my birthday, Mother's Day, he'd always like, happy Mother's Day, happy birthday. And if he had events, he would always invite my kids and I to his events, and we would always go to his events. Well, he ended up passing away. He just, like in an accident, he had a car accident. Like he fell, I think he was like going up on the cliff, and then like his car just rolled. Yeah. So he ended up dying. And the weirdest thing was that after that happened, I was so uneasy at my place. I kept feeling like that. This is like the weirdest thing. Like I kept feeling that he was there watching.
He probably was.
And I could not really use the bathroom at my place because I felt like he was, because like for me, the kind of person that I am, it's like I can never go number 2 in front of anybody. I just can't. It's like that's like the one thing that I won't share. Like even if I'm in a relationship, and even when I was married to, my kid's father, I would never I didn't mind peeing in front of him, or if we were in the bathroom.
I think that's pretty normal. I mean, as you're talking about, I'm thinking, have I ever done that? I don't think I've done that either. So
No.
I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah, so I would never do that. So whenever I had to go, I was like, oh my God, I'm like, but I feel like, he's here. Like I feel like he's watching. And I was so embarrassed and shy. Cut to one night, I don't know how long after that, like when he passed away to when my dream, I had a dream where he came to my dream and he took me to the afterlife where he was at to let me know that he was okay and everything was okay. And I just remember he came and, I hopped in his car, in his Jeep, and he took me, and it was just like this very beautiful paradise where all of a sudden, I saw a couple of people that I knew and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, Irene is here too. And I was like, wow, I had no idea that she passed away. And so he was just showing me, and I remember at one point saying to him, aren't they going to be really upset that you're bringing me here because I'm not supposed to be here? Because I belong to,
You're still in the physical world.
Yeah, I'm in the physical world, and I'm not supposed to be here. And he's like, no. So and I remember just being this really beautiful place, and that was it. So as soon as I woke up, I was at peace. I didn't feel anymore that he was watching or anything. We had a conversation. He took me and showed me around, and that was it.
There's a beautiful book by Dr. Eben Alexander called Proof of Heaven. And for anyone that wants to read it, it's a gorgeous book, and it made me think about it when you're talking about the scene that you saw where he took you, because Dr. Alexander he was a brain scientist, a neurosurgeon, and he contracted a very specific kind of I'm trying to remember what the disease is in his brain. But before that, he was very skeptical about people that had near-death experiences and basically poo-pooed that didn't exist, that all those were illusions, and he could show you how they were illusions. And then, of course, he attracted, in my opinion, it's complete perfect law of attraction, because his yearning was to believe, but his science kept making him not believe. So I think he actually manifested this exact meningitis. That's what it is. This exact kind of meningitis that literally targeted that exact part of the brain. He told people he could prove what they experienced was an illusion, and he crossed over and he came back and he wrote Proof of Heaven. I mean, and so now his life is been forever changed. But it's one of those beautiful stories, and I absolutely believe that we don't actually die. We're either focused, we're like the sunbeams from the sun. Mm-hmm. We're either physical and always non-physical, or we're just all non-physical. And so one of my clients actually, who is completely, I love him to death, is unconscious, he walks around his life completely distracted because he's got so much stress. But when he goes to sleep at night, everyone who's ever passed on, parents, girlfriends, coworkers, come to him, and they're all new experiences. They're not memories. And I'm like, that's them coming. He's like, I know. He's so clear about that. Like, some people are super connected. So yes, so how do we utilize that energy? We utilize that energy by understanding and expanding, in my opinion. If you know that you're non-physical energy and focused physically in a body, then you understand that you're, I think, connected in a bigger way to all people and to whatever source, creator, God you believe in. That it's not separate than you, that you are a part of that. You are, people say you're made in the image and likeness of God. I believe you are a part of that. You are the sunbeam coming from the sun. You are part of source energy. And if you treated yourself like that, if you decided to look in the mirror and said, I am a part of whatever you believe, God, creator, source, universe, fill in the blank. So let's just, for me, I'm going to say source energy. I am a part of source energy, or I'm a part of God. I'm not separate from, I'm a part of. How differently would you respect yourself? Would you treat yourself better if you thought that way or if you believed that way? Just something to think about. This is some of the things we're going to deal with at the event, but that's the other part of the coaching that I do. Because again, it's broadening the perspective. If I ask you to care about your body and your joints and you don't, how can I get you to care on a different level? It's by expanding your understanding of what you're supposed to do on this planet while you're here, what your body means to you, what a vessel it is, and how you get one of them, and that you're not like a car where you can replace your tires and your brakes. How do we wrap that back into a deeper respect and an honoring of this vessel that you have incarnated into, and that is holding your soul until you decide to transition back into non-physical? So I think that's the other part of what I kind of bring in all the work that I do to what we're going to call the fitness industry. The fitness industry is not my friend because it's so to me about the shaming and about the weight loss and about that, right? And how I look, and it's all that surface stuff. And I'm not saying to like throw that out, but boy, that's going to keep you feeling bad for a real long time. I want to get you to a little bit more of an expanded place where you can feel comfortable in your body, knowing that you can have a dream and that it's not really a dream, that you actually had an experience because you felt it. It was palpable. Yeah. And to honor that and say, wow, like what a gift my life is. I'm going to cry. What a gift my life is. I don't know when I'm going to leave. So why not take care of my body and have a good time and feel good while I'm here?
Yeah, it's so true. It's true. I really like the event that you have, because right now talking to you about the many things that you're going to have there, especially like how to rearrange, yourself where you're part of like the light and what you have to do to, what you're meant here to do. I really like that. Like it goes into like real deep thinking. And as you were talking and explaining it, I was thinking to myself, I thought, if I looked at myself, especially like after talking about that dream that I had where I know that I was there and it was an experience and it wasn't just something that I could say, oh, I had a dream, it wasn't real. Because I know it was real, because after that, I was at peace, with myself, and I felt like he and I had closure, and I felt that everything was okay. Listening to you and talking about that, it made me realize, like, if I felt that, if I changed my way of thinking, that I was a part of, like the light or ray of light, that I'm supposed to be here for something and do something, then I would definitely take myself more serious when it comes to like my workouts and, doing what I needed to do to get where I want to be with my body as far as, toning up, instead of like taking the easy route and just be like, you know what, I'm going to go hire my trainer and just see my trainer. I can just kind of surf through this until my trainer's available to see him. I would definitely change everything and not, use the excuse like, well, my trainer's not available, I'll just wait until he's free, because he already has sessions that I paid for that I need to still collect. But because he hasn't been available for me, I'm kind of like just coasting through. But I would totally change my ways. It's just like that is so deep to me.
Well, I have a show going out next week on Spirit, Purpose, and Energy called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And it's a book written by, I'm going to forget her name, Bronnie Ware, I believe is her name. And Hay House has published it, and it came out a couple of years ago. It's called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And when it first came out, I did a podcast on it on Fit to Love, and I've repurposed it onto Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, and it'll be coming out next week. But it's me talking about each one of those regrets. It's going over. The book is great, but the book is her experience working with the dying, and what they all had in common. She kept working with older adults that would transition, and she saw the theme of what everyone regretted. And I thought, what a great show for almost the end of the year, because really, if you came to a place where you had a near-death experience and you decided to look back at your life, would you say, yep, I came to do everything I wanted to do. I let myself be who I wanted to be. I did everything I wanted. I have no regrets. How many people can actually say I have no regrets? I can die tomorrow and I have no regrets. And it's just to be in check. So rather than think about resolutions, think about regrets. What am I stopping myself from getting that I want to get? And what's really important?
Yeah.
Because we don't know when we're going to transition. And so why not live each day to the fullest and live with no regrets? Because regrets cause depression. Holding yourself back from living your life causes you to emotionally eat. That might be the reason. It might not be because you just love carbs.
Right.
It might be because, not you, but people. It might be because you're actually just repressing all your feelings of wanting to go out into the world and do something that you're too afraid to do.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's just also, with speaking of, having like regrets. I how old was I? I was 20. No, it was like 30. I think I was like 30, like, I don't know, like 30 or 31. I had a moment of, I've always loved my life, but I think until I had that experience, then I just decided, like, now I appreciate it even more. And I do things, especially with my kids, because I don't want to have any regrets. If anything happens, I don't want to say, I should have done this, with my kids. So what happened was in between like my son and my daughter, like after my son was born, I think he was like 2 years old, I had an ectopic pregnancy. And unbeknownst to me, like I had no idea. So all of a sudden like the egg, like it just burst. So my tube burst. I had no idea that had happened. Like I was experiencing like really bad pain. To make a long story short, like I ended up, like I was internally bleeding for like, I think it was like 30 hours. I did not know this. The only reason why, because when I was having like really horrible pains, I didn't go to the doctor. I did not go to the hospital. Like I wanted to go, and I remember like having my son, and I like remember telling my husband at the time, and his thing was like, take a cab, to the doctor. Like we lived really close to Cedars-Sinai. And I was like, you know what? With that attitude, I was like, no, I can't leave my son alone. Like he was 2 years old. And I was like, no, I think I'll be okay. Well, I did not know that really bad pain that I was experiencing was, and the reason why it was relieved, I had no more pain because that's when one of my tubes bursted. And I did not know that until like the next morning, where it was like hours and hours later.
So you never went to the hospital?
I went late the next day because I started to like eat soup. And the craziest thing is that when I was like sipping on soup, it literally felt like it was floating inside my body, the soup. And that's when I told my ex, I was like, my husband at the time, I told him, I was like, you know what, something's not right. It's like literally it feels like it's floating like in outer space, like it's floating in my body, this soup. So I went to the hospital then. And, my doctor that did the surgery, that delivered my kids, he at that time said to me, he's like, Elizabeth, he's like, you have no idea how lucky you are to be alive right now. He's like, I don't think you understand. He goes, seriously. He's like, it's like, you don't understand. Like, you're really, really, really lucky. And when I started researching, like, what I had, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's right about that. Like, how did I survive that long? I have no idea, up to when I took myself to the hospital, because then I knew something like was horribly wrong. And, like every time like he would see me, he would always tell me, I don't think you understand how lucky you are. And I'm not even going to go into details to tell you, that you were like, basically like about like, like done, which was crazy to me. So when he So when I did the research, after that, I just started appreciating my life even more because I thought, you know what? There's a reason why I'm here and nothing happened to me. And ever since then, like now, I really, really appreciate my life, and I try to do everything with my kids not to have any regrets.
Good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes that's the kind of push we need to get us sort of straightened out. I think we attract those kinds of experiences. I'm not saying you attracted that, but in terms of, anything specific that you thought of or did, but I think we get opportunities on our path to change our direction.
Yeah.
And they're blessings in disguise. Even when at first they seem like a really bad thing, but how life changes afterwards, I mean, it's a turning point.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. So after that, I was like, I don't have any more regrets. Like I wouldn't say like live life, what is it, like at its fullest, but I do like do it like with my kids. I try to do everything that I can with them because I don't want to ever say I should have done this or why didn't I do this?
Yeah, and so that's why, again, to pull that together for like the work I do, and my purpose is to help people have that experience without having to go through all that. Not that I'm saying that was bad, because we're all still going to have experiences regardless of what the work you do. You can see therapists and healers. You're still going to have experiences.
Right.
You've designed your life that way, I think, before you got here. So this is all part of the plan. It's how to navigate and not allow some of these things to weigh you down. That's why the event is called Releasing What Weighs You Down. It's not about weight. There are a lot of people coming who don't need to lose any weight or don't want to lose any weight. This is not what this is about. This is about some of the inherited emotional DNA that we have that stops us, some of our beliefs that stop us, some of our habits that we are unconscious of that stop us, some of the fears we don't even know we have, and being able to take that and really work on it. Because unless you go, and even if you go to therapy, let's be honest, let's say it's a 60-minute, 50-minute session. Half the time you spend most of it just telling the story, and you're not even getting to the healing part because you're just talking until the end, and then you trigger something and then you go home. So this is a weekend that finally gets to be dedicated to you actually doing the work and being in a safe space to process and to release that which weighs you down.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm very interested in your event. It's, it sounds like very, very deep and fascinating.
It'll be deep and releasing on every level, on your conscious, on your subconscious, on a spiritual level, and definitely on a physical level. So
thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I really loved having you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So much information. A lot.
Thank you. Well, hopefully something will inspire your audience to maybe love themselves a little bit more and invest a little bit of time and energy into their 2018.
Yes, like you guys have to go. If you cannot attend our event because I understand you're out of state, then you can do. You said you do have
It's a virtual ticket. It's not a live stream. What will happen is that you'll get the ticket at the reduced rate of the virtual ticket, although that's going to go up once the event starts. And then you'll get access to all the videos and the workbooks and everything that we do in the order the next week. So basically, like once the week's over, let's say about Wednesday or Thursday, some of those videos are going to go up so that you can do it at your own pace at home by yourself. Or if you have someone sign up, you can do it together. I mean, really, it's just having the information, the exercises, and being able to experience it as best you can from your computer, like you would be watching something, but you'd be invited to do all the exercises. So it is the next best thing if you can't come in person.
And you also have to check out our website, jjflazane.com. You have a lot of stuff going on there.
Yep. There's all the social media links, all the YouTube stuff, all the podcasts, everything's up there, and it's jjflizanes.com.
You guys won't regret it. We were talking before we came on air, everything that all her podcast, and there's a lot of in there that I know you guys are going to like a lot.
Thank you.
There's a lot. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, you always have to do something for yourself, something to just start off something light. Or actually, you know what? Why don't you guys just go to her site, to JJ's site?
I even have free things there.
Yes.
If you go to the little button that says free tools and resources, there are 6 different free tools and resources. So just even start there.
So you guys do not have an excuse anymore. There's no excuse. You cannot say it's money. You don't have any money. There's no excuse. So I don't want to hear that. You guys have to check her out. Don't forget, the tighter the body, the better the ride.